Hey you, thank you for joining me. My name's Kevin O'Connor and welcome to The Restart. This is The Ringer's new weekly basketball series where I'll be breaking down basketball and bringing on guests from around the league to give you a behind the scenes look at this game that we all love. This month, 22 NBA teams will be heading to Disney World in Orlando, Florida to resume the NBA season. It'll include the 8 teams in the Eastern Conference and the 8 teams in the Western Conference that held the top 8 seeds at the time the season was suspended on March 12th. Additionally, it's going to have all the teams that were within 6 games of the 8 seed at that time. So some of these games could take on more of a warm-up feel, but that's okay because basketball players need to get themselves back into basketball shape after having so much time off. These games still matter for seeding. Look at teams like the Thunder and the Jazz. If they want to avoid the 1 seed, they're going to have to change their seeding. But of course, the most interesting race is going to happen at the back end of each conference with the teams in the playoff bubble. The NBA is experimenting with a postseason play-in tournament format, which is something that Adam Silver proposed before this current season. From my conversations with people around the league, there is increased support for it, but we'll see if it works. The way it's going to actually happen is if the 9 seed is within 4 games of the 8 seed after the 8 seeding games, those 2 teams will play at least 1 game together, possibly 2. So for example, if the Grizzlies are 2.5 games up on the Pelicans after the 8 seeding games, those 2 teams are gonna play. If the Grizzlies win the first game, they're in, they're the 8 seed, they get a first round date with the Lakers and the Pelicans are going home. But if the Pelicans win that first game, they have an opportunity to play again. And if they win that second game, they're in as the 8 seed. We're gonna see a Zion, LeBron first round series and Memphis would be going home. Adam Silver is right to push for a postseason play-in tournament because it gives more players and teams something to play for if they have an opportunity at the postseason, and it gives fans more to root for longer during the season. Think back to 2018 in terms of what the excitement could look like with games at the end of the season that matter. Denver and Minnesota both were fighting for the 8 seed, facing each other in a must-win game. Problem was, it was the first time in 21 years that it was a final day play-in game for the playoffs. With a postseason play-in tournament, the NBA would be guaranteed these games every single season. And we're going to get a taste of what that looks like now because we're going to see stars like Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal fighting for the playoffs, as well as rising stars like Ja Morant and Zion Williamson. And that takes us to today's main story. The New Orleans Pelicans, who are smack in the middle of the playoff race in the Western Conference. I'm going to tell you how the Pelicans are going to take that 9 seed for a play-in tournament against the Grizzlies, why Zion Williamson is primed to be even better now, and how the Pelicans are built to zig while the rest of the league is zagging with their size. When Zion recovered from his meniscus surgery and returned in mid-January, the Pelicans immediately became one of the best teams in the league when he was on the floor, outscoring teams by 10 points per 100 possessions. Zion played only 19 games and debuted as only a 19-year-old rookie, and he still needs to prove that he can stay durable. But if you're taking guys to win 1 game, it wouldn't take long before Zion gets picked. He's already a bona fide star player. Zion is an otherworldly athlete. He's thick and quick at 6'6" and 280 pounds. He's one of the most unusual athletes to ever play in the NBA, if not one of the most unusual humans to walk planet Earth. And on the basketball court, he shows everything he can do regardless of who defends him. If you put a big on him, he can blow past him with his speed and agility. If you put a small on him, he's gonna bulldoze that player to get to the rim and then bury them with loud, ferocious dunks. The Pelicans put Zion in positions to succeed. They run double high screens to get him going towards the rim. They use cuts and dribble handoffs to slingshot him towards the basket, and they let him run on the break. Of all NBA big men, he ranks second behind only Giannis in percentage of possessions finished on the break. Watch here how Zion out-hustles the defense and Drew Holiday rewards his big men, or hear how he gets ahead of the defense, seals off the defender, and then Lonzo throws a pass to him to get him a lob dunk. Put it all together, and Zion is only the 5th teenage rookie in NBA history to average over 20 points in a season. And he's doing it with greater efficiency than any of them, largely because of his ability to rebound his own misses and draw fouls. Look at this rebound of him just stealing the ball from Jakob Poeltl and getting back up before Jakob Poeltl can even turn. It's wild how quick he is for his size. And then when it comes to drawing fouls, Zion is posting a free throw rate that's pretty much the same as what James Harden is doing, different types of players, but it goes to show how often he's actually been able to get to the basket. And Zion's shooting threes as well. He hasn't shot a lot of them, but he's shooting over 40%, which is encouraging. I spoke with Pelicans Vice President of Basketball Operations, David Griffin, who told me Zion hasn't come close to scratching his surface because of his untapped playmaking potential.
He has the ability to be a really high-level playmaker. He played point guard his entire life until he got to Duke. Zion's going to make the right read, and he doesn't care who scores. So that's a pretty rare gift in a superstar scoring talent.
Zion has shown the type of unselfish qualities that Griffin is talking about because of the type of guys that he's put around him to pass the ball to. Guys like Melly and Redick and Holiday and Brandon Ingram. Putting the ball into Zion's hands and letting him be a playmaker could also help Brandon Ingram. He was named an all-star this season, but his numbers did drop after Williamson returned in January. One of the reasons why is because Williams spent so much time near the rim. Driving lanes weren't there for Ingram that were there earlier in the season, and it hurt his numbers because he was pushed into a lot more pull-up twos and pull-up three-pointers. However, if you're taking Zion out of the paint and allowing him to initiate more offense in the half court, think about what that can do if you're running Zion pick and rolls with either a smaller player or with Ingram himself. Ingram is going to get the type of secondary opportunities to attack a defense that's rotating because they're trying to top Zion. We haven't seen a ton of that yet, but I would expect after what was essentially a mini camp for Alvin Gentry this month before games resume, that we're going to see some type of new actions that weren't there in January and February and early March when Williamson was just getting back on the court. Much like Ingram, Zion is also at his best in space, so there might be some logic to putting him at the 5. They did that for 40% of his possessions this season, and he was at his best offensively. However, the team was at its worst defensively. They're better with Derek Favors at the 5. I talked with David Griffin about the idea of building a structured roster that could really enhance and complement Zion at the 5, but he's not too enthusiastic about the idea of doing that.
We're really big, and we can do everything small ball can do from a skills perspective and from a speed perspective and a pace perspective, but we can be really big, and that's why I'm excited about our team.
So wait a minute, Griffin would rather the Pelicans lean into their size rather than play small around Zion. And that got me thinking. Look at a team like the Warriors putting Draymond at the 5 or the Rockets putting PJ Tucker at the 5. They're doing that because that's their way to get skill on the floor by going small. The Pelicans don't have to do that. They have Zion at 6'6" with his rare blend of size and skill. They have Lonzo, who's 6'6", Ingram at 6'7", a versatile scorer who's at his best defensively against 2s and 3s, and Jackson Hayes, a young center who projects as a highly versatile defender. They can essentially, someday, play 5 guys on the court, all between 6'6" and 7 foot, who can do whatever you need. So it makes sense if Griffin wants to lean into that rather than do what other teams are doing. They should continue to play big, and that could make them a matchup problem long term, but they already are today. So that's how the Pelicans are set up on the court. And they also have the easiest schedule of the 22 remaining teams set to resume play this month, which is appropriate because when the season was suspended on March 12th, they also had the easiest remaining schedule at that point. The Pelicans are going to face the Jazz without Bojan Bogdanovic, the Spurs without LaMarcus Aldridge, and the Wizards without Davis Bertans, and a bunch of fringe playoff teams and other teams that don't really have incentive to win. But look at what the Kings and the Blazers have to deal with. They have the same record right now as New Orleans, and they are facing a lot more teams that have reason to win games, reason to fight for a better spot. They're not going to have it easy, and neither is Phoenix or San Antonio. If the Pelicans do earn that 9 spot, I'm picking them to win it against Memphis. They have the better overall team, the better overall star in Zion Williamson, and with time to prepare for these games, I would expect them to come out with new wrinkles to show more of what this team can be at its best. If the NBA's restart plan is successful, and if the play-in tournament is exciting, everybody wins here. Long term, this could be something that the league installs. Breaking tradition comes with risk, but the league has never hesitated to innovate. David Stern grew the game enormously ever since he took over as commissioner decades ago, and Adam Silver can continue on by trying new things. The obvious question is whether basketball should even come back right now. There's an ongoing pandemic, and in Florida, cases are rising rapidly. The NBA has a strong plan, but no plan can be bulletproof during a pandemic. And there's civil unrest across the United States following the killing of George Floyd. Players have joined in on the protests, and they hope to resume doing that at Disney World. There's plenty of reason not to play basketball, and it's pretty clear. The number one reason they're coming back is because of the money. If the NBA cancels all games, billions could be lost, the collective bargaining agreement could get ripped up, and if players and owners are renegotiating a new deal during a pandemic, it would not bode well for the players now or long term. As Ed Davis recently told Alex Kennedy of Hoops Hype, most players aren't set financially for the rest of their lives. It's so easy for the superstars to say, let's just not play, and they're good. But some guys can't just do that. There are lives on the line and generational wealth on the line. These are the hits that we're going to take if we don't play. I'm not one to judge what a player decides to do. Whether a player sits out to be with family, like Avery Bradley or Trevor Ariza have decided to do, or whether a guy decides to play because they want the money, like Ed Davis. That's not up to me. But I do know that I hope the NBA and its players are able to seize the opportunity to use the platform that will be had over the summer with basketball returning, just like they say they plan to do. Already we've seen players use their platforms for good. Guys like Jaylen Brown and Malcolm Brogdon are out there protesting. LeBron is tweeting about these issues that the country is facing. If the players in the league can use the spotlight together, they can be agents for good in the world. People always say take politics out of sports, but they've never truly been separated. Not since the days of Jesse Owens or Muhammad Ali, and definitely not since Colin Kaepernick. Sports is about the money, yeah, but it can also be something that sets an example for people to follow. It can be something that helps make the world a better place with the message that athletes send. So no, I don't think the basketball stage should be taken away from players, and I'm glad they're going to make an effort to actually make this work. Because sports has been used as a platform for players to make positive change in the world. And this summer, I'm looking forward to watching everybody play basketball. I'm looking forward to watching a championship race. It's going to be fun. But I'm also looking forward to seeing players being empowered and making a difference in the world. This is why The Ringer created The Restart, so we can go on this journey together. So let me know in a tweet, a comment, or a message what you think about the NBA's return to play plan, and long term, I want to know what you think the Pelicans should do when they're building around Zion. I'll respond to as many messages as I can. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends. We'll be back all season long. Peace out.